Jane here, you're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how are you doing? A few weeks ago I went to the cinema and saw a film called Boyhood. Now you may have heard of Boyhood, you may have not. I think it actually came out a few months ago, like back in maybe February or something. Or that may have been the American release, I'm not sure. But anyway, I saw it just a few weeks ago and it was probably one of the best films I've ever seen. I mean, in terms of how much it affected me and influenced me and made me think, it was definitely one of the best films I've ever seen. So I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about it in case you might be interested to see it as well. Now Boyhood is a very unique film in the sense that it was filmed in 12 years, so it literally took the director, the producer, everybody in the film 12 whole years to complete the film, and that itself I think is quite amazing. Like, not very many films do that. In fact, I think, as far as I know, as far as they've been saying like in promotional stuff about the film and stuff, Boyhood is the first film to have ever done that, so that's really cool in itself. I mean, to be honest, I thought somebody else would have had this idea before, like long ago, but apparently not. And Richard Linklater, who is the director of the film, it was basically his idea to like film this whole film in 12 years. As you can imagine, I think from the title of the movie, the story does revolve somehow around a boy. You meet this boy, he's called Mason. You meet him when he's about 6 or 7 years old, and you basically follow his journey through life, and you get to know him and his family and his friends, the people he interacts with, and you just see him grow from a kid, from a child, to a teenager. Like, when the movie first starts, Mason is 7 years old, like I said, but when it finishes, Mason is 18 or 19, he's off to college or university, and the whole film literally is you seeing him grow up. And I know that that may seem very boring and mundane, but it's not. It really isn't, and I can't really explain it to you unless you see it yourself. Now, the film is about 3 hours long, I think, which again may seem a bit intimidating because I myself don't usually like films that are longer than like an hour and a half. I find myself starting to get bored a bit when films are too long, but Boyhood didn't actually feel that long because you literally feel like you're part of their family, because you get to know this kid Mason and his family so well, and I suppose part of it has to do with the fact that you actually genuinely see them grow up, and not just Mason but his sister and his mom and dad and everybody, like his friends and family, everybody who he knows and interacts with, you see them grow up, like genuinely grow up within the space of 12 years, and that can have a very genuine and real effect on you, I think, as a viewer. It kind of makes you connect with them a bit more, I think, and literally feel like you're part of their story, and that's a very strong thing. I think that's one of the reasons I think that this film is so powerful. There isn't a real storyline to the film. Like, it doesn't have a linear story where you can just follow this protagonist and see what he gets up to and stuff and all these exciting things happen. No. It's literally this boy's life, Mason's life, and what he gets up to, and you see him go to school and get his first girlfriend and go to university and all that kind of stuff. But obviously it's not a documentary, it's a film, it's a movie, it's fictional. So there are still some great moments in the film, like great quotes and great lines, and I don't know, it's really good. Like I said, Richard Linklater directed the film, and I think he did an amazing job. From what I've read about the film, I think when he first started the idea of the film, he didn't actually know how he was going to end it because, of course, at the time, all his cast members were quite young. I mean, the guy Mason was 7 at the time, so he was just going to see how this kid grows up outside of this film, and perhaps maybe write around the guy playing Mason and make the film kind of revolve around the guy playing Mason's actual life, and just see where it takes him, really, and see how the years passing by are gonna naturally turn into a good storyline for a film, which I think is amazing. Mason is played by an actor called Ella Coltrane. He was really good. He was great from the start. I mean, even when he's like a 7-year-old child, for the very first few scenes that you see him in, you really start to care for him because he's just an innocent child, and you know, you just get that feeling that he's kind of lost in this family thing, because I suppose his mum and dad, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, you learn this from the very start, his mum and dad aren't living together. Like, I don't know if they're actually divorced or not, but they're definitely separated, and you see that from the very start, and you kind of see him go through that whole thing, him and his sister. And yeah, his acting was great from the very start, like I said. One amazing thing is that as he gets older, you can definitely see the change in his acting, and his acting becomes even stronger, and especially in the last few scenes, the last few years that you see in the film, I thought he did an incredible job of showing Mason's character and just showing the growth in him, the change in him, and I don't know, it was just really great to see this child basically grow from a child to a man. And that sounds really cheesy, but it was really cool. It's genuinely a cool thing to watch in a film. The mother is played by Patricia Arquette. She was fantastic. I think she did an incredible job. She's a single mother, basically, and she has a lot of her own problems that she has to deal with throughout the film. She makes some mistakes, I suppose, not of her own accord, just because I suppose she's quite unlucky. Like, she just does some bad decisions based on bad luck more than anything, and you kind of feel for her as well. In fact, I think you feel for all the characters in the film. Well, most of them anyway. There are some not so nice characters, but all the family members anyway, you genuinely care for all of them, and that's just really nice, because I think that's what real life is. That it's very real, the film, because in real life, and I've said it before in some of my videos, there aren't very many people who are actual, like, proper, definite villains, definite bad people. Everybody has their good and bad traits, and that's what you get in this film, and because of that, the characters seem very real, and you connect with them, and you feel for them. And yeah, Patricia was great as the mother, and obviously you see her, I suppose, age a bit as well. I mean, I'm not saying that she's very old by the end of the film, but you see her naturally get older throughout the film, and I think that growth as well, and also her relationship with her son in the film, Mason, played by Ella, and the daughter as well, and the dad. It's really interesting to see the whole thing kind of unfold throughout the 12 years that they filmed it. The daughter in the film, so Mason's sister, was played by Richard Linklater, who I believe is actually the director's own daughter, which is really cool. Lorelai, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right, she also did an incredible job, both as a child and as an adult, as you see her grow up. There's a scene actually in the beginning, towards the beginning of the film, where she's like dancing around and singing to some Britney Spears song, and I thought that was really cute, because it's just very real. Again, you know, scenes like that, you don't generally see stuff like that in films, because why should you? It's not adding anything to the film, but it's nice to see them, because that's how kids are at that age, and I don't know, it just gives you something to relate to, because I remember I was like that when I was her age. When I was 7, I used to just jump around and muck about and just sing songs constantly, so I don't know, that kind of gave her, again, a very real character, and as she grows up, she goes through a lot of changes as well, as does her brother Mason, and it's just, again, it's really cool to see that, and they both did an incredible job, both her and Ella, as the kids who we see from a very young age to the age of adulthood or teenagers or whatever that is, 18, 19, 20. The last actor I'm going to name is the dad, who is played by Ethan Hawke. He was fantastic. He did such a great job in this film. Like, honestly, I think acting-wise, he's one of the best actors I've ever seen in any film, his performance in this anyway, because I suppose it's quite tough, and I guess none of the actors who first signed up to do this film knew where the film was going to go when they first started to do it back in, 2002 or something. And yet, when you see the film, it all makes sense, and you really see their characters develop, and their characters go through all the changes that it has to go to. And the dad in this film especially is a very interesting character. He's kind of, I suppose, not very responsible in the beginning. He's a young dad. He wants to be the best dad he can be to his children. He loves his children, but I suppose he doesn't really know much at the time, and he goes through quite a lot of change as well, and things that he maybe wishes that he could change, and he changes them throughout the film, and by the end of the film, like, he's a different man. And in a way, like, it's weird, because I loved the dad from the very beginning. I think most people watching the film will. He's got a very charming character about him, and like I said, you really root for him. You really root for all of them. Like I said, all of the characters in the film. I suppose the mother is probably the one who gets the worst end of the stick, I suppose, not because she's a bad person, but because she's the one responsible for the kids. She's the one looking after them, and she does quite a few mistakes. Not mistakes, but just kind of, she does things that she probably shouldn't have done, and she didn't know at the time, just because she was young, or she just wasn't aware. She got unlucky, basically, and at times you do feel a bit annoyed about it, but at the same time you can clearly see the love that the mother and dad have for their children throughout the whole film. Like, it's so obvious, and I think that's very beautiful to see. I cannot explain to you how this film made me feel, but it was just amazing. It was such a unique experience. It was like, basically, I'd never felt that way watching a film in the cinema before, ever, and I don't think I ever will again either. Literally, like I said, 2.5 hours, 3 hours worth of a film, and I never once was bored. I was watching it constantly with all my attention. Never even did I actually look at my watch or anything, because I was literally so into it. And that's very weird for me, because I normally, after about an hour and a half, even an hour sometimes, if I don't like the film that much, I start getting so bored that I sometimes even fall asleep in the cinema. So that was really cool that this film was able to keep my attention throughout the whole 3 hours, and it says a lot about the film, I think. What I loved most about the film, like I said, is that the plot of the film, more than anything, is life. And I know that's very cheesy, like life as the main storyline, but it's true. Literally, the film doesn't have a proper storyline. It's just, you learn about somebody's life, a family's life, and all the difficulties that they go through, and all the good times that they go through, the happy memories, all the great stuff that happens in life. And because we're all human beings and we probably all have experienced things like that before at some point in our lives, I think it's very easy to connect to them and relate to them. And I mean, I was there with quite a few of my friends and we all felt the same, most of us anyway, and we were talking about it afterwards. And it's just, I think because we all can find something or a moment or just something, a character in the film that we really relate to, and I think that was what was the nicest thing about the film, just because it's just nice to see other people, I suppose, go through the same things that you do, and maybe see them have their own problems and see how they deal with it, because everybody has problems in life, and the problems that you see in this film are very real, and the happiness and celebrations that you see in this film are also very real, and it's just really nice to see someone else's life and learn about the characters. And now, like I said, there were some really good quotes as well. The guy playing, Mason, the main character, the boy, when he grows up, he turns into a very intelligent man, a very articulate man, somebody who thinks a lot and is very good with words and has some really clever ideas, and it's great to hear them towards the end of the film. And another interesting thing, actually, is really weird, but Ella Coltrane, who plays Mason, when he grows up and turns into this teenager or 18-year-old guy or whatever, he looks quite similar to Ethan Hawke, who plays the dad, which is crazy. Like, who would have thought? Because obviously when they first cast this dude, Ella, he was like only 7, and when he's a child he doesn't look like the dad much, but as he grows older he actually, weirdly enough, starts to look more and more like Ethan Hawke, which is crazy because obviously that's the guy playing his dad in the film. And I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting. Just like really lucky, I guess, more than anything. So yeah, basically that's all I can say about this film. For me, Boyhood, I think, was one of the most incredible and brilliant films I've ever seen. It was just brilliant and a very enjoyable experience. A once-in-a-lifetime experience, I should say, because I very much doubt that I'll ever see a film that's going to make me feel the way I did when I watched this film, and I very much doubt that anybody's going to make a film similar to Boyhood anytime soon. So it's the once-in-a-lifetime film, so you might as well experience it because it's going to give you a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I know that sounded really cheesy, but it's true. It's a very unique experience watching this film, and it kind of makes me sad, and that no other film's going to make me feel that way watching it. I'm hoping to go and see it again because it was just so good. Like I said, I think it came out a few months ago in the UK, I'm not quite sure, but I think some cinemas are still playing it here. So it's worth checking out, and if you don't manage to see it in the cinema, then just wait until it comes on DVD because it's just great. Like, it just made me feel content more than anything watching it. Like, there were moments where I felt angry. All the emotions that I went through were very real emotions that I genuinely have felt before in life, throughout my own life, like personal life, and that was just really interesting to see and very fascinating, I think. But yeah, you really come to care about all the characters, and yeah, it was just, I felt very warm and fuzzy by the end of it, and just, like I said, very content with life. I walked out of that cinema feeling very happy, which is a very weird feeling. Like, I wasn't happy, like smiling and ha ha ha. I was just feeling very happy inside, which is, again, very cheesy, but it's just how it made me feel. So if you have seen the film, do let me know in the comments what you thought of it. But if you're planning to see it, do let me know as well. If you have any comments, questions, of course, let me know as well. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!